Welcome to the 1 Million Years of Joy podcast. I'm Dr. Andrea Benaker, your host, and my intention is to inspire you to find more joy in your life through the stories from our guests and the science on joy and purpose. Gerardo, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you for having me, for inviting me.
Gerardo, reflecting on your own leadership journey from being an entrepreneur, a CEO, and now a leadership coach, what's one moment where you felt the most profound sense of joy and fulfillment?
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, probably it was when I changed my career. If I have to think about the biggest moment, it's when I took a leap in the dark and changed completely, one day from the other. My life, I would say, my career, but also my life.
Tell us about that journey and what actually triggered that transformation. I'm curious.
I will have to go back to my youth. So I am one of those guys who somehow has taken a direction that did not belong to me because of life events. I lost my dad when I was 6, and so lived with my mom and my 2 years old brother and 4 years old sister, 4 years younger sister. And then when I was 13, my mom got sick, and basically we had to do everything in the house. So from the smallest things, cooking, cleaning, ironing, washing, to the biggest thing, because myself and my brother, when I was 13, I was actually handling the finances of the family, and my mom was coming to ask for the money she needed to me. I was 13.
Incredible.
And then when I was 15, she died. So I became orphan when I was 15. My sister went to live with my aunt in Spain. I was living in Italy. I was born in Italy. And so I lived with my brother, and, I didn't have any money. And because of that difficult youth, somehow I built this idea that I wanted to become a successful entrepreneur. I had entrepreneur in my blood because my father was an entrepreneur. And so, this is all I wanted. This is what I wanted. So I had to study and pay for my education. So I had the brilliant idea of starting to work to organize parties in clubs in Milan. So, I was organizing this party, and with the money I was earning, I was paying for my education. Mm-hmm. At the same time, that experience gave me a very important dream I built at that time, but I still have now, which is, the dream of becoming a legendary DJ. I have this dream, I built this dream, and I still have it now. Anyway, so I managed to finish my study. Then, I started a career in the family office industry. I went to work for one of the big family offices in London after graduating. And then at the age of 29, when I was 29, I started my own small family office, myself and an assistant in a service office in New Oxford Street in London. Now, that was the year 2000. Then with time, that small group of people became a 400 people operation with 10 offices around the world, multi-family office, different kinds of services. We diversified the services, etc. So I actually managed to get to that dream, and once I got to that dream of becoming a successful entrepreneur, I looked ahead and I saw nothing. Okay. So I said, okay, what's next? Not only what's next, I saw myself fulfilling that dream. I said, okay, but I felt a little bit empty. Okay. If I was thinking about out there, you know, when you reach that dream, there was joy, happiness, everything, you know, all these nice things. And then when I got there, there wasn't. So at that point, I said, you know what, I'm gonna exit my business. So I sold it back to my partners and took a leap in the dark in the sense that I didn't know what I was gonna do. I knew that I had to change, and I knew that I wanted to get what I built before completely out of the picture so that I could see freely and decide where to go. At that point, I felt that special joy of freedom, I would say. Probably the word is freedom.
Tell us about the transition challenges that emerged as you left the venture that you had built, and now you've oriented yourself in a completely new direction and even taking that leap of faith. What was a journey like for you? What were some of the struggles and the realities that you have faced that led you to ultimately become a leadership coach?
One, walk in the fog, in a complete fog. Okay, so walking in the fog is difficult. It's difficult. I mean, I didn't know where I was going to end up. I didn't have a clear view in front of me. So that was difficult at the beginning. Then with time, you know, step by step, then less and less foggy. Okay. And then, you know, you can start seeing, and then you like this, and then now today, zero fog, sunshine. Okay. But at the beginning, you know, fog, complete fog. So that it was you know, probably the one of the biggest challenges, I would say. The second one is, you know, that decision I took was disruptive. You know, it was a disruptive decision. When there is disruption, you don't know what's going to happen around you. People who might be close to you suddenly disappear. You know, I left being number one of a very successful group to being Mr. Nobody. You know, whatever direction I was going to take, you suddenly lose importance, you know. So people walk away, change their mind, don't understand you, see things differently. Because, for example, one of the things I did, you know, that leap in the dark, you can see the same thing as being an act of courage, but you can also see, and you know, it makes sense, to be honest. I understand those people. You can see as, you know, you're crazy. My kids at that time I have two daughters. Okay. So my daughters were, at the time I took that decision, it was 2017, one was 8 years old, the other one was 6 years old. So another challenge is that is really, really, really based on yourself. It makes you feel more alone, and it changes all the social aspect. It changes the people around you. It challenges relationships. Yeah, so that was also a very, very big challenge. Those two, I think, were the two biggest challenges.
Do you have any regrets today as a result of making that decision?
No, I don't, because then what has happened is that the direction, you know, I was lucky enough to be able to fulfill that dream. Because if I didn't become successful entrepreneur, I might have probably now I was still pursuing that dream, you know. And instead, you know, I was lucky enough to be able to fulfill it when I was 45, and then still be able to change, you know. So I don't have any regrets, but it has been very, very hard. You know, it is true that, you know, for example, challenging relationships somehow, something like this, has made a natural selection of the people around you. So the people who really count, are attached to you and love you, etc., stay. But other people, no. And I changed as a person. I became much more myself. And I also take part of the responsibility of that, because some people were around me because of the way I was before. And so now I changed, and, you know, somehow I changed that person.
Of course.
You know, now I don't have regrets because I'm much more myself. I am myself nowadays, and I chose something that fits myself. So now I have, you know, what was successful entrepreneur. Now I changed dreams. I have different dreams, different vision, completely different work that I do. You know, I moved on to coaching, which is completely different than the work I was doing before. But I'm happy. You know, I am happy.
Beautiful. And if you were to choose three words that describe who you were before the transition, and three words that describe who you are today, as you said, you are truly yourself finally, what would those words be?
You're asking big questions here. It's kind of difficult. I would say, well, whatever words are around being your true self, you know, I would use the same words, you know, just in a negative way before and in a positive way now. You know, sometimes there are many words that I could say now that I could say. You know, before maybe very much concentrated. Three words I would say, you know, appearance, outer objectives. So things like, you know, money, big group, lots of people, lots of offices. Now more simple, more inner objectives. Yeah, probably today I could say certainly authenticity as a word, that's for sure. And freedom is a word that I would say. Look, I would say, you know, now whilst I'm thinking live, you know, okay, I'm gonna say to you four words,
Yeah.
okay, with that system, okay, which I think are extremely, that somehow before and after in the opposite way. So before I would say meaningless, loneliness, dependency, and uncertainty. And after that change, I would say to you the four words: meaning, love, freedom, certainty.
Wow, what a transformation.
Yes, indeed.
This brings me to the concept of leader in the mirror, which I believe is part of your coaching practice. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's part of the side activities that I do. Yes, I mean, one of the things that I've done is I've created. I love learning by creating. I am a creator, you know, and as a coach, one of the things that I created is this kind of format of interview where I go and interview leaders with a mirror, using a small mirror. So when I ask questions, some of the questions I ask those leaders to answer by looking themselves in the mirror.
And what have been some of the reactions or insights that have emerged from this process that you've taken certain executives on?
Well, you know, that thing, I remember in the second interview I went to interview a guy who is a director of theater shows and who also collaborates with Cirque du Soleil. And so I was doing this interview, and at the end of the interview, there are several questions about some topics, some elements, some signs, some words of intimate humanity, no? So there is a question about soul, a question about hug, a question about different things. And so at the end, when the interview finishes, this guy looks at me and, was very happy about, really enjoyed the interview. And he said to me, this interview, that I think it has the potential of becoming a show, something that you can feature, on stage. Because he said to me, you ask these questions around those elements of humanity, about tears, about, about soul, and say, maybe you can build a show around that with, some performing arts, etc. And at that time, I didn't pay so much attention. The reality is that, it just left this smooth thing in my head, and that was sleeping for a little time. And then I went back, and I rethought about it, and said, I actually like this idea. So that, second interview done in that way actually show me the way that I decided to take for the future. And now I've created this show, thanks to the suggestion that this guy gave me.
So let's talk about your art show called Out as Humans, which I absolutely love. How does it impact individuals? What is your vision for it? What have you experienced as a result of pursuing this path?
Well, one of the things that has happened by taking the direction that belonged to me, that was mine, and that I had the lack of finding, if you want, is, I wanted to make a big impact. Okay. So during these years that I've been working as a coach, I, was continuously looking for that idea. I said, how I'm going to make a big impact in the world, because now I feel I can do it. Okay. And because now this way, I believe will allow me the chance to do it. So I want to make a big impact in the world. At the same time, I want to do it through something that I liked, that I felt mine, that I wanted. And I had this idea that was left in my head. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to create a show, and I'm going to get this show featured for C-level of corporates, leadership association, organizations, and also to get it to those big leader conventions, because the purpose of my activity is humanize leadership. This is what I want to do. Also, the people that I started, going out on having meetings, having professional relationship, etc. So all these purposeful leader, I always heard this sentence that often came out: use business as a force for good. Okay. And sometimes this sentence came out in a way that meant, because we can't touch up there, then let's not waste our time, and instead focus on our businesses, and in our businesses do something good. Okay, perfect, nice, amazing, thank you, very nice. But somehow that wasn't enough for me. Okay, and the idea of saying, okay, these people are untouchable, we can't change them, somehow, is represented a challenge to me. Okay. And so I said, you know what? my experience has been different, okay? At a certain time during my coaching work, I was dealing with people up there, and what I saw is that those people are human beings. You know, as me, you, they are normal people, okay? So the difference is that those people have a big spotlight in the face, okay? So the more you have the spotlight, the more you're alone, and the more you defend yourself from this loneliness. So the more it is difficult to change. It is difficult. You know, these guys are poor guys that have a huge spotlight all the time. And so, you know, social pressure, you know, pressure from the people looking at them continuously, every little thing they do, you know, over judgment. Imagine, you know, how these people are judged. Okay. I lived experiences in my coaching where I actually saw these people suffering from these things. Okay. And I saw these people really being human, being able to change if they get treated in a certain way, which is very difficult. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create something. And I want to take this something, which, you know, then has been the show, that I want to feature that show during World Leader Convention. And I want to allow them a possibility to take their mask completely out and be who they truly are and taste what it means, you know, taste how they feel inside. And at the same time, if I manage to do that, this will have also a ripple effect on all my friends who are doing nice things in the world. Okay, which, you know, I thank, but it's going to create a more favorable environment for all these businesses that force for good, you know. So that's why I created Out as Humans. Out as Humans is a performing arts show that combines performing arts with questions, coaching questions, human questions. I would say I call them more than coaching, intimate questions with storytelling. Okay, so you know, I stepped into a completely new world I knew nothing about, performing arts, creating a show. You know, I'm not a showman. You know, I hired an acting coach to teach me how to become an actor. You know, put together a whole team of script writers, scenographers, theater director, artist, musician, video maker, audio maker, dancer, you know, all different kind of things to produce this show that I want to take to, the World Leader Convention. So G10, G20, G8, World Economic Forum, COP, whatever, you know, all these big leader conventions on organization. And also I'm featuring this show for corporates, so large corporates, the C-level of large corporates. So my vision, sorry to answer your question, is today there is Out as Humans featuring Gerardo Segat. Okay? And for some time, this is how it's going to be. So, you know, once I get the show to be featured in this leader convention, then the second step is that tomorrow there will be Out as Humans with John Smith. Then Out as Humans with, I don't know, whatever, okay? So I'm going to, like a franchise, I'm going to franchise this show to people who want to do the same as I did and who want to use this to impact and humanize leaders around the world by, you know, using their story, by using their powerful stories in, you know, different parts of the world. So my vision is lots of Out as Human shows around the world. And this is to, you know, my vision to humanize leadership in the world.
I love it. So inspirational. And it's interesting that the journey that you're taking and the reflections that you're inviting for certain executive CEOs is somehow similar to the journey that you went on, but you are now facilitating those questions and those exploration as a result of your experience, which I really find fascinating. And as a result of featuring yourself, as you said, in Out as Humans, in corporations, for example, what have been some of the transformations that you have witnessed at the leadership level for the executives that have had the opportunity to meet you and to see your show?
The transformation vary, okay? And I will be very honest with you. I haven't built this to transform people, okay? Because, some people, that's not my objective. Although on the other hand, people are made in different ways. Some people, change. It has been an impactful experience. Some other people, they had a nice time, and, it created a space for them to feel better in that space. But then they went out in their normal life and continue. Okay. So it really, the situation is very, very different. Okay. My focus was on something different. Okay. And that I saw through my interview. Every time I went there, I went to visit, to interview leader, using the leader in the mirror, using the mirror. Okay. Every time I was getting feedback from these people that the effect of those questions, of those situations, of that interview, being authentic, being open, being treated in a certain way, etc., stayed for at least a few days. Okay. So now with the show, I say, I want to feature that during G20, not because I'm going to change and transform those people, but because I'm certainly going to impact the way people interact during that meeting. And therefore, because I'm going to impact the way they interact, I'm going to impact the decision they take. Okay. So that's the focus. And that was what matters to me. It is, I want to feature the show during one of the evening. People come in, they don't even know what they're going to experience. Okay. Now they find this incredible experience where they share dreams, where they share their intimate fragilities, where they say sorry to each other. At a certain moment in time in the show, people exchange apology notes, okay, to each other. Okay, so things like this are very powerful. Performing arts, etc. They leave a very touching experience. Okay, and by the way, after they also experience a party, which is a completely different thing. It's a party where I actually make, as an exception, my dream of becoming DJ happen, because in the party I actually play. Okay, for a part of it. And so they go to bed, and the day after, that group of people who has lived that experience, they will talk in a different way. They listen more. They are much more open. Cohesion, openness, sense of belonging, listening, all these things change. And therefore, the dynamics are different, and therefore the decisions are different.
You also spoke about purpose earlier and how important that is. And I know you're also the co-founder of the North Star global chapter in IPO. What was your intention in bringing that to life?
Well, our intention, because I co-founded it together with other three YPOers, well, the idea was to somehow say, look, I think there is room for purposeful leaders. We wanted to create a home for purposeful leaders, irrespective of, so normally in YPO, most of the chapters are geographic, so according to geographical area. I said, no, let's do a global chapter, so worldwide, and let's build a home for purposeful leader. So the idea was to really create that home so that, new non-YPO members, YPO members who have purpose at the center could join, become member, and then gradually, as a community, impact the YPO community, association, our own individual, professional and personal lives, YPO community, and the world together. So that was the vision at that time, still is.
When you look back at your life and everything that you have experienced, what's one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career that would have helped you prioritize everything that you're prioritizing today? And from what I can see, which is also you're living with more joy. So, what would be that advice that you wish you would have received much, much earlier in your lifetime?
Well, I will tell you, what gives me joy is dreaming. Okay. And dreaming, was always there for me. Before, after, it's a word, before you ask me, 3 words here, 3 words there, in reality, there is a word that is there, here, and will be, which is, for me, the joy of dreaming. I had this dream, by the way, dream are joyful. It's the essence of a dream that is joyful, okay? Because that's, to me, I think that it doesn't matter if you fulfill or not fulfill. Okay, I give you an example. This dream I had of becoming a legendary DJ, I never wanted to fulfill. Okay, I never want to risk losing that dream by trying to make it come true. Okay, I enjoyed that dream since I was a kid, and I'm still enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm making a little exception for the show, but just, it's a private show and it is within the show. Okay, but I still have that dream of becoming a legendary DJ. I actually love it. It gives me special moments. So I think, we're often thinking that, make the dream come true, but, it's not always like that. Some dreams, and it's perfectly fine to have dreams and keep that as a dream in itself, because a dream in itself is nice, dreaming. Dreaming is nice. It's also nice dreaming and wanted to make it come true. So a dream that somehow changes into a vision, that you want to make come true. Now, so the reason why I'm telling you this is the piece of advice that would have made a big difference, okay, to give me joy and to make me dream even more and to make me, fulfill maybe even more dreams or have more dreams or fill myself with probably a state of feeling that either would give me more dreams or enjoy more the existing dreams or, whatever, would be have inner objectives. Don't focus on the outcomes. Don't set yourself only, at least, something that is an outcome, is not inner. Okay? So I wish I had that. School, forget about it. School, they tell you that what is important is the mark that you're taking an exam. So an external sign. The old system, the old world is set up in a way that educates you to have outer objectives. I think what could have been, what I wish I had before, is somebody tell me, set yourself inner objective, set yourself meaning, set yourself certainty, set yourself love, set yourself, freedom, inner love, inner certainty, inner meaning. That would have, I wish I had, before. Fortunately, I didn't have parents. Maybe if I had parents for longer, maybe, they would have taught me that. But, school, no, the world, no, the television, no, the news, no, the newspaper, no, the socials, no, everything around you doesn't teach you.
So profound, Gerardo. I'm in awe by everything you have shared and the journey that you have been on. I love what you're doing, and I was wondering if you could share some future dreams or aspirations that you have with our audience in terms of the creative person that you've described yourself to be, and this dreamer as well, particularly as it relates to how we can all collectively contribute to bringing more joy to this world. Any final thoughts or perspectives on that?
To me, if everyone had the chance to be their true self, that would make our world an happier, a more joyful place. My dream, I would say my vision, so a dream that I want to fulfill, is to actually humanize leadership, but human at the, let's say, the top level, no? And therefore, have a ripple effect down on, business leaders, etc., and down to, the population, the world. Yeah, that's my vision. And to say, okay, how would we have a world which would be a better place? I think if we want people to find meaning, to find a purpose, to find their way that was created for them, etc., we need one basic thing. The basic thing is people need to be who they are. And not everybody has the chance. I've been one of them because of my life events that have taken me in a completely different direction. Other people have different issues, different life events, different restrictions, different problems that somehow take them in different directions.
Well, Gerardo, it's been such a pleasure to spend this time with you. And I wish you continued success with everything that you're pursuing. It's so exciting. And really look forward to seeing one of your art shows in the near future. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Andrea, for having me.